My dad died when I was 7 years old. Looking back, I don't think I really knew what was going on at the time. I remember the last time I saw him was when my mum took my brother, my sister and me down to see him. It was an unscheduled visit. My mum and dad were divorced at the time. Don't know fully why, really. Don't think my mum wanted to tell me the full story when I was younger. So I never pushed for one. I remember walking in his house and seeing he looked really pale and was hooked on an IV drip. I could tell that something was wrong, but we were all sat there as if there wasn't. We were probably better off not emphasising what was really going on, considering our age. He handed us all a present. Sort of party bags, from what I remember. Mine and my brother's predominantly football themed, my sister's full of pink stuff. The sort of thing we'd go out and buy when we went for visits. Don't recollect much more from that day. I don't even remember leaving. I have very little memory of him, to be honest. One good memory I do have is of all us kids shaving his head. He just let us go mad with some clippers, so taking up the opportunity, we let loose on it, and in doing so, he was left with a scene of a haircut. I don't think it went down very well with him, but we all found the funny side in it. I have vague memories of the funeral. I remember there being a lot of tears, but not from my siblings and me. Not on purpose, but more because we weren't emotionally mature to react in such a way. Strangely, I remember a song by Eva Cassidy being played. I still can't listen to that song till this day. I remember my sister actually laughed at the funeral. Only 4 or 5 at the time. The need for silence in a full church during the vicar's sermon got the better of her. I think that would have amused him, though. My mum told me he was a clever man, quite the poet in his own way. He was a maths teacher at the school where my mum and him met. He always wrote funny poems about new employees under made-up names and then posted them for the staff to read. My mum tells me hers was quite entertaining. Entertaining enough for her to see something in him anyways. I recently got hold of some of his poetry. I found it really interesting. Not only due to what he spoke about, but how odd it felt reading something that he's written. As you can almost imagine and hear him saying it. I don't think there's ever been a point in my life where his death has hit me. I've always seen it as a strange positive, that by having not been old enough to form a conscious relationship with him, I've never had to deal with the grievance of his death. But saying that sounds like I'm making the best of a bad situation. I remember growing up, I sometimes thought whether the relationship with a male parent is something I'm missing out on. Seeing the father-son relationships of friends growing up was something I envied in a way, although I think that's only natural. I don't think it's left me at a disadvantage in any way. I don't feel as if I've grown up missing out on anything. But you can argue, how can you miss something that you've never consciously had, I guess? It's strange to speak about him. There's not really much to say. It's similar to talking about the death of a great-grandparent who you may have vaguely known, yet he was from my immediate family. I hear good things about him from my family, arguably because they may not want to tell the bad things, but I think in general, he was a decent guy who meant well when it came down to it. Having all my knowledge of my father being from memories, it's hard to have an opinion on someone that you hardly knew. But I like to think he was a good man who just made a couple of poor life decisions. I'll always keep the memories I do have of him. And in some way, they're influential to aspects of my life. My dad died when I was young, but there are definitely small parts of him that will live on till I'm old.